Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of Medal of Honor European Assault. On this part, we are going to be finishing up the campaign. This is going to be the Battle of the Bulge, which is also the best mission in the game. And the Battle of the Bulge is the perfect final mission to have in Medal of Honor European Assault, which I'll explain what the battle was and why it's such a great battle to have in the game here. But anyways, let's do it here, first part.
I hear the Nazis are losing steam. Everyone's hoping for a quick victory. The OSS has tracked von Schrader to Belgium. A French resistance operative, Manon Deschamps, reported that she'd found something. Now she's missing. Orders are to go to the American command post near her last position and get more info. Don't know what von Schrader's doing out here. Intel says a German general named Kappelhoff is linked to him somehow. Going forward to check the line. None of this feels right.
Reach American command post and destroy King Tigers, okay. This is one of the largest battles the US has ever fought in its history here.
Well, it was snowing in the Ardennes. You couldn't recognize one town from the next. And I guess that's what a lot of us remember the most. Cold. And how it just never stopped snowing. We all thought it was over. The pain, the cold, the waiting. And we'd all be
Going home soon. 600,000 Americans and 55,000 British were camped there. Judging it an unlikely spot for a German offensive, the American staff commanders kept the line thin, concentrating their troops at key points to the north and the south. I didn't know at the time, but this place was soon to become a crossroads. For the war, for von Schrader, for everything.
December 16th, this is the start of the battle.
I don't like it. It's too quiet.
Can't see nothing from here. Krauts are dug in too deep.
That's it. We've got to get a man up there.
Sir! You were due to pick up intel from the CP 20 minutes ago. I hope you're right about this.
I hope I'm wrong, Sergeant.
Okay, you heard the man. Crockett, you're up again.
Call me lucky number 7. Watch my gear.
What do you see?
It's all clear. Get down!
Holt, intel says the command post is under attack. You'll find it over there behind the church. Hurry!
Oh crap! Okay, so let me talk about what's going on right here. Okay, so this is the Battle of the Bulge, and this is one of the largest battles that was fought in Western Europe during World War II, and it was also one of the largest battles the US has ever fought in. So this happened in December 16, 1944, when this operation launched, and this happened in Belgium, specifically in the Ardennes forest. Now, the reason that it's called the Battle of the Bulge is because when this was the front line beforehand, and when the Germans launched their massive offensive, it created a huge bulge in the front line, which is why it's called the Battle of the Bulge. Hitler had planned this operation, and he had ordered it, even though a lot of generals told him it wasn't a good idea. He didn't listen to them. This was about half a year before Germany's full collapse, and one issue the Allies had is the Western Allies underestimated Nazi Germany. They thought that Nazi Germany was on its last legs, but Germany still had a little bit of fight left in them. So the Germans attacked on December 16, 1944, and they attacked specifically in bad weather conditions when it was really foggy. The reason that they chose to attack in the fog was because the Americans had air superiority, which means they controlled the skies. When they attacked in those foggy conditions, it would be very hard for American planes to help and do anything in those conditions. Now, initially, the operation was going successful. They had captured thousands of American prisoners, and they were pushing through. The goal of the operation was to capture the Belgian port city of Antwerp. They never captured Antwerp. But the reason that they wanted to capture Antwerp is because Antwerp was a major resupply point for the Allies. And what Hitler was hoping is Hitler was saying that the Americans and the Soviets are eventually going to fight each other, and he very strongly believed in that. And while he might have predicted that the Americans and the Soviets would get into conflict later on, not necessarily a full-scale war. He predicted a war. That war never happened, but he did predict that they would eventually get into conflict and hate each other. Hitler thought that if he had basically taken Antwerp, that this would shatter the Western Allies' confidence in the war, and that they would seek a peace settlement with Germany, that they would negotiate with Germany on its favorable terms, and then Hitler could take all of those soldiers and then use them on the Eastern Front to defeat the Soviets. However, though, this wasn't going to happen because what Hitler didn't understand is he didn't understand that the Western Allies and the Soviets, while they might not have liked each other, they hated him the most. Everybody hated him the most. They were sick of the stupid war that he had started and all of the treaties that he had broke. So many promises that he broke, so many countries that he had invaded. Everybody was sick of him. And so while the Western Allies and the Soviets might have disliked each other, at the end of the day, they were both fighting to get rid of him. And that's what Hitler didn't understand and he underestimated. So what ends up happening is the Germans, this entire operation, relied on them basically stealing American supplies, specifically fuel, because the Germans had 400,000 to 450,000 troops when they launched this operation. The Americans at the start had between 80 to 100,000, so the Germans outnumbered the US 4-1. And the Germans actually had thousands of tanks in this operation. It was one of their largest tank operations that they've done. But while they were relying on capturing American fuel, what they underestimated is they underestimated how quickly the Americans would destroy their fuel depots. So while they captured some supplies at the start, the Americans were actually specifically trained in dealing with situations like this, in destroying their supplies to deny the enemy of it. So a lot of the Americans, what they would do is they would blow up their fuel depots, destroy their supplies, and then fall back and retreat and regroup with reinforcements that would arrive a week later. The Germans were completely shocked by this, that the Americans managed to destroy their supplies so quickly, because when they had initial attacks against the Soviets in 1941 and 42, the Soviets were so incompetent with destroying their supplies, and the Germans managed to capture so much fuel. But with the Americans, the American army had specifically trained for this. And so, here's the thing is, a lot of people always say, oh, the Tiger and the Panther tank is better than the American Sherman. And while, yes, the Tiger and the Panther tank are very strong tanks, and yes, they would, a regular Sherman, it will be very difficult for it to take on a Tiger or a Panther from the front. What people don't understand is that the reason the Sherman is a better tank is because the Shermans were more simple, they were easier to repair, and for basically every single Tiger or Panther, the Americans had 20 Shermans. And the Tigers and the Panthers, they were too complicated. They were large, and if something broke in that, it would be too long to fix it. And here's the thing, you can have the best tank in the world, but if your giant tank, if it runs out of fuel, it is completely useless. And that's exactly what happened during the offensive. The German tanks, they ran out of fuel and they stalled because the Americans had destroyed a lot of their fuel depots. And so the Germans weren't able to make their full advance. They had to abandon Tiger tanks, Panther tanks, Panzer IVs, a lot of armored vehicles and trucks because they had run specifically out of fuel. And then what ended up happening is a week later, about 200,000 to 300,000 American reinforcements arrived. And there was also a few thousand British that had arrived from Montgomery's force, and then they counterattacked. And at that point, pretty much the Germans were screwed. The weather had cleared up, air superiority came back, the planes started bombing the Germans, bombing their tank columns. It was really bad for the Germans. And what ended up happening is, by January 25th, 1945, they had pushed the front lines to where it was at the start, and by January 28th, it was the end of the operation. And that was really Germany's last attempt to win World War II. It was a disaster for them. And for people wondering, what would have happened if Germany had actually won this battle, if they had taken Antwerp? Could they have won the war? No. It was their last attempt to win World War II, but they really could not win. Even if Germany had taken Antwerp and they had completely, destroyed the US, that would not have stopped the Soviets that were on the Eastern Front. And here's the thing about this, is that the Soviets had outnumbered the Germans by millions of troops on the Eastern Front. They had thousands of tanks more. The Soviets had between 12 to 15,000 tanks on Germany's eastern borders by this time. So the Germans were screwed. The only thing that would have changed if the US had lost this battle, the only thing that I see could have changed is that the war maybe might have dragged on for maybe another month or two, or maybe 3 more months, but it still would have ended in Germany's defeat. Germany still would have collapsed. The only difference is the Soviets might have captured and taken more of Germany. So instead of, how the US took Western Germany and the Soviets took Eastern Germany, the Soviets might have just taken more of Germany, and they might have created a larger communist state, and they might not have honored the agreement between, West Germany and East Germany, they might have actually taken more land and created a larger communist state. So ironically, Germany actually losing this, if Germany won this battle, it actually would have been even worse for them, because more of their country would have actually become a communist country later on. So because the US actually won this battle and pushed the Germans back, they were actually able to establish huge parts of Western Germany later on. Okay, so one thing I also wanted to talk about was the Malmedy massacre. Now, one of you guys had requested I talk about this when we do the Battle of the Bulge part here in Medal of Honor. So, about the Malmedy massacre, this happened on December 17, 1944 in Malmedy, Belgium, and this is considered probably the worst massacre of American prisoners of war by the Germans during World War II. So what happened is, one day after the Battle of the Bulge began, Battle of the Bulge was December 16, 1944. December 17, 1944, a lot of American troops have been overrun, and a lot of them have been taken prisoner by the Germans. So from this one American unit called the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion, they had 120 of them that had surrendered. Now, these 120 guys that had surrendered, they had basically been marched into a field by the 1st SS Panzer Division, led by this man called Joachim Piper, and they basically just got machine gunned in the field. And out of the 120 American prisoners, 84 of them had been killed. And what happened was the Germans went to each body, one by one, shooting them while they were wounded. And a lot of Americans had actually pretended to be dead. Some didn't move in the snow, and some of them actually survived by pretending to be dead. Others actually ran in the woods. Some of them got out and escaped. About 30 to 40 survivors had escaped, and a few of them that did escape actually went to a nearby cafe and hid in there, and then Piper's men went into that cafe with flamethrowers and were burning them out. And the Americans that ran out of the cafe were instantly shot and executed. And what ended up happening is, when the Americans actually found out about this, there was just so much fury and just so much anger about this. And this is actually one of the reasons why a lot of American soldiers actually started shooting SS soldiers near the end of the war when they had surrendered. It was in retaliation specifically to this, to the Malmedy massacre. Now, if you're wondering, was anybody ever punished for this massacre? What happened? So Piper was actually caught in May 1945 when Germany had collapsed, and he was charged with this war crime. And a lot of witnesses had testified against him. He was actually put on trial in Dachau, a war crimes trial in 1946, in the same place as the Dachau concentration camp. He had been charged with war crimes, crimes against humanity, mass murder, and he had been found guilty, and he had actually been sentenced to death. But here's what happened is, even though the guy got sentenced to death, is that the United States had a policy of denazification in West Germany, and by the mid-1950s, the United States had abandoned this because denazification had become very unpopular in Germany. But here's the issue. Germany did not fully become denazified until the 1970s, because there was polls that were done in Germany after World War II, even going into the 50s, which said that 60% of the population thought that Hitler was still a good leader. And what happened was, when the United States stopped their denazification in West Germany, is a lot of these German courts, what they would do is they would constantly reduce the sentences of a lot of these war criminals and release them. And the German courts were saying, oh, they're sick, they're old, they're gonna die, and then these guys would end up living under 20 or 30 years. West Germany was actually an extremely corrupt country. Their government was actually filled with a lot of former Nazis who were sympathetic to these guys. So even though this guy had been charged with war crimes and this guy had been put on trial for mass murder and he got the death penalty, what happened was his sentence was reduced to life imprisonment, then it was reduced to 35 years, and then he was released. He was released in the mid-1950s. I'll have the exact date on the screen here. It was ridiculous, and the West German government had claimed, oh, there wasn't enough evidence that he had, he had participated in this. It was his soldiers that did this. He didn't do this himself. But here's the thing: is this guy was guilty as hell. There is no doubt about it. This guy was definitely guilty as hell of this. And here's the thing: is at his trial, he tried to argue that, oh, I wasn't responsible for this. I lost control. This was my men. But you are the commanding officer. You are in charge. And when you do nothing to stop your men from committing atrocities, you are just as guilty as them. He made no attempt to stop them, made no attempt to punish them. He was guilty. He was definitely part of this. He was involved in this. And that's actually where that comes from, where your officers are responsible for crimes that their soldiers commit. That's exactly where this comes from after World War II, because a lot of Nazis tried to use this as an excuse, saying, oh, my soldiers did it. I wasn't responsible. I lost command. But here's the thing about Piper. In 1943, September 1943, he was involved in the Boves massacre. The Boves massacre was a town that was Boves in northern Italy, where a German soldier had been killed by the Italian resistance, and two two Germans had been taken prisoner by the Italian resistance. Piper came into the town and threatened to burn the entire town down unless they had released the two German prisoners. A priest actually came out and negotiated with him, and he promised the priest that he would leave the town alone if they had released the two prisoners. The priest negotiated the settlement with him, the two German prisoners were released, and guess what he did? Him and his unit burned down the entire town, even though he had promised not to. Over 300 homes had been destroyed. They burned an 87-year-old woman alive in her house, and on top of that, that priest who negotiated the settlement, Piper had his men burn him alive as well. That's what Piper did. And if you're wondering what happened to this piece of shit, what happened to him, he ended up moving to France at the end of World War II. He lived in France up until the mid-1970s. And when he lived in parts of rural France, he used a pseudonym, but then his identity was finally discovered. And when his identity was finally discovered, he didn't really make an attempt to hide himself. This guy was non-repentant, by the way. He was still involved in neo-Nazi groups after World War II. On July 14th, which is Bastille Day in France, it is actually the start of the French Revolution and a major holiday in France. There was people that actually went to his house and burnt his house down with him in it, and he died in the fire and the smoke. And it was never found out exactly who did it, but it's believed that it was former French resistance members who found out that he was living there and burned the house down. And that's what I'll say, is this guy got karma in the end. This guy had burnt so many people alive, burning an 87-year-old woman alive, burning a priest alive, burning an entire town to the ground, burning soldiers who had surrendered to death, massacring soldiers who had surrendered. And in the end, ironically, he himself was burnt to death. So that guy was just a major piece of crap, and in the end, he did get karma for his actions. Damn, these pink tigers are everywhere. Okay. Getting sprayed everywhere I go. Tank's gone. Damn it! Oh, it's one thing that's so frustrating when you're trying to hit them and they zigzag like that.
Okay, let's go! Holt, over here! Captain's at the CP! Let's go! Holt's got the idea! Move! Holt's got the idea!
So every mission you're attacking, but this one you're retreating.
Oh! Where the hell have you been? These Croc documents are important. Now take care of it! Here they come!
More, okay. Coming.
Holt, listen up. One of the engineers is MIA. Dispatched to pick up C2 charges in the church tower. Now get over there and find it. Nails the crowd!
Kind of shows how hopeless the situation was at the start of the Battle of the Bulge. It was just the Allies just underestimated Germany. They did not expect this massive of an attack. Okay, got the commander. go, that's what I'm talking about now. There we go, yeah.
Once you've got that C2, you'll find the bridge on the other side of town. It's over there behind the gatehouse.
Okay, one more objective left here. Okay, my guys are pretty hurt here too. I need to heal them. Oh, crap. If anyone in the comments, can translate any of the German radios, let me know in the comments what they were saying. I'm really curious on that. I really appreciate that. Damn, I only got 4 bullets left. Okay.
below the bridge.
Damn, the tanks. Okay. I need to get some adrenaline before I move up. Nice. Okay. Farmhouse liberation. Let's do it.
It's chaos out here. The Germans caught us completely by surprise. We're trying to regroup. Recon says that Manon is being held in a farmhouse nearby. We've been ordered to rescue her. It's well guarded. The OSS thinks that von Schrader's most trusted officer, Freder Engel, is questioning her there. There isn't much time. We've got to move fast if we're going to get her out alive.
This farmhouse, I remember, was such a fun map in the multiplayer.
Holt's got the eye. Great. Some Christmas this turned out to be. Keep it down, soldier. Our orders are to rescue the French operative inside. We gotta move fast. Intel says the Germans are mounting a huge offensive. This place will be crawling with crowds in no time. Okay, we'll check the perimeter. Take cover!
looks like we're in the clear.
Okay, let's go!
STG-44. Okay, I'll take this.
Move up! Move up! Holt's got the idea! Move! Fire in the hole!
So many machine gun nests.
Get the C2 up here! We need to blow these tank stoppers! Come on, man! Go! Get in position!
Okay, there we go. We got it. Breach now. Damn, okay. This is... There's so many, okay. Oh no. Oh, I really, okay, I really needed that. Okay, that's that. King Tiger is gone. Oh, okay, and there's one more revive here.
Secure the area!
Sie kommen! Grab grenade!
Oh, crap.
Listen, Holt, intel says the French operative is being held in the basement of the farmhouse. Proceed with caution.
Damn, I got okay. Barely any ammo left.
Counterattack at once. We need to be ready. Come on! Let's
Oh, massive German forces are headed toward the farm.
The Krauts are attacking!
Oh yeah, see
again!
that's...
Reinforcements are on the way, sir! We'll have to hold the farm until reinforcements arrive!
Damn. Wait for it. God. King Tigers, okay. This is what's ridiculous about this mission, like this. You gotta go through this crap. This is one of the most one of the hardest Medal of Honor games out there. Damn. They just don't stop coming. Screw you. Oh my god, it's like
Red Ball is here, sir!
trying to survive that.
Yeah, reinforcements have arrived! The Germans are on the run! We've got your back!
Oh man. That is rough. That was rough. But there's still one more mission here. Operation Virus House.
Manon told me von Schrader's plan about the dirty bomb. It all fits. The launch site in Saint Nazaire, the secret weapons in North Africa, the virus house information in Russia, now here. Intel believes he intended to use the bomb on London, but now that the Germans are desperate, he might use it in the Ardennes. It'll kill thousands. My orders are to find him and stop him, no matter what the cost.
A dirty bomb is basically a bomb that doesn't have a lot of it's not a large explosive, but what it's bad about it is it spreads so much radiation. That's the whole point. So basically like a poison bomb. So this is the final mission in the game.
We need to locate Fox Raider's underground bunker. We know he's deep behind enemy.
Okay, this is it here. The end of the Battle of the Bulge.
Cover me! I need to reload! Trying to find it better! Oh, I've got to reload! Advance! Go! Ah! Don't dragging on Americana! Roger, I see him. We're moving to engage. We're saying our Hail Marys over here. Battalion, this is D Company. The Germans are overrunning our position.
Holt intel says there's 3 King Tigers in position in the trenches. We need them taken out.
Covering fire! Men! Prepare to charge! Sir! Ready! Ah! There! The line is weakening! That's what we've been waiting for!
Another King Tiger, okay.
Hey! It's pushed up, got it!
Yeah, there we go. get rid of these King Tigers now. That's gone, okay.
Listen, Holt. Our operatives have informed us that Von Schrader's bunker is on the German side of the Ardennes.
The music is really good. They are in a really annoying position over there. Come on, blow up. What? Now. Okay, finding Von Schrader's journal of... I know it's in one of these bunkers. Oh, there it is. Got it.
Enemy down!
Yeah, there we go. When the Americans gained air superiority a week later after the weather had cleared, the Germans were screwed at that point. Your squad mates always die in this part, no matter what.
Holt, watch yourself. Contact you later.
Okay, Schrader's bunker. This is it now. See that? Yeah. I knew that more of them were gonna spawn. The entrance to this bunker just sucks. Like, trying to enter on that, it really does suck. This is why I have adrenaline here.
Yes, I know who you are. I have made you a study of mine. My men never really appreciated you. That was their downfall, I think. However... This will be your tomb! Our victory! Your epitaph! The Iceman triumph! You simply cannot stop destiny! William! You cannot win!
Raider will always retreat upstairs after you kill all these guys here. Now, this part, this is the final boss in the game. That's the dirty bomb he's deploying. That's what that timer is on the screen there.
Give in! Let it happen! You are finished! Ha! Give in! Let it happen! You cannot defeat
This
me.
area
Not
sucks because
here.
there's almost no cover and they just surround you. Oh, I got him. I killed him. Damn. Turn off the dirty bomb. Okay, here. Oh, it stopped. They followed me up here, too. Oh, ooh. If that would have detonated, that would have spread radiation everywhere. That's what a dirty bomb is. And also, I know that a lot of people were like watching that and they're like, what the hell was that fight? Here's the thing is, that is probably the most annoying boss battle in the entire Medal of Honor series, is that fight with Von Schrader there, because he's on an MG42 on the top, and the thing is, the reason that I didn't kill all the soldiers that were around, those soldiers are infinite. They will just keep spawning and spawning and spawning and spawning until you kill Schrader. Schrader is really the only, and you have to have numerous revives, you gotta use your adrenaline getting through that. That is like one of the most difficult missions in the entire Medal of Honor series, and if you're wondering, you know, why was I cheap with the bazooka is literally the best way to beat him. If you don't have the bazooka, you're pretty much screwed at that point. So that's why it's good to really stock up on ammo and just spam that at him at the end, spam it at his head, 2 bazookas, and he's dead. So that's really how you beat him. That's how you do it. Well, yeah, that was just something else. That was just yeah. That battle is just really difficult. It was. Everything's done. Your squad members always die in this, no matter what. You can't save them in the final mission.
What the? It's Holt! He did it! You men shoot any crowd who so much as twitches. Corporal Fielder, with me! Holt! Thought we'd lost you there! What happened to Von Schrader?
Dead. He's gone. It's all gone.
Good work, Holt. Here, I'm in order to give you this. The Krauts are falling back to Berlin. Our forces will be right behind them. Will you be following the action?
Yeah. I'll be there.
Then let's give them hell. Carry on, Lieutenant.
Sir.
That was a long time ago. For a lot of my buddies, the war was over. Some of them went home. Most didn't make it. When people ask me if I was a hero in the war, I think about the ones who were left behind. They were the heroes. I don't know how I survived, but I did. So I keep their memory alive. I owe it to them. We all do. For what they did.
That's such a beautiful ending there, and that's the thing, is that look at that. I got 100% completion. Every single bonus objective done, the whole campaign. St. Nazaire, Russia, North Africa, and the Battle of the Bulge. Everything. Fully complete. What I was going to say there at the end is that we honor World War II veterans, and World War II veterans are some of our greatest heroes, but what we don't think about a lot of times is we don't think about the guys who never made it back. The guys who never got old enough to, you know, live like a lot of these World War II veterans who survived the war. You know, these guys went through hell in order to, you know, give us a free world of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, two of the most, you know, evil empires that were basically trying to destroy the world. And if these two countries had won, the world would have been a much worse place. But that's not talked about as much, is that the guys who didn't make it, the guys who did not come back. Just think about that. Just think about all the guys who basically died fighting these two empires, not just from the US, from just every single country. You know, think about the United States, Poland, France, Britain, the Soviet Union, China, Korea, Yugoslavia. There's so many countries, Czechoslovakia, so many nations that had, the Netherlands, that had resisted the Axis during World War II. And a lot of people, a lot of civilians, and a lot of soldiers never made it through the war, and that's just what's so sad about it. But I just love that quote at the end when he says that, you know, the real heroes are the ones who didn't make it. You know, everyone that fought in that war is a hero, but we don't think a lot of times about the guys who did not make it and did not survive the war. But yeah, this game was a huge part of my childhood. I love this game so much. It was such a fun game and a big nostalgia to play for you guys again. And I hope you guys enjoyed the history as I talked about through this game. I do like history a lot, reading it, especially World War II history is something that I'm definitely very interested in. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this playthrough. If you did, drop a like. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.